Drop in on Monday night. Let it fly, boy.
What's up, Homer Maniacs, and welcome to the Homer Show live from the B.F. Evans studio. I'm Stephen A. Turner, joined by Mr. Brandon Ward.
Gorilla style.
And Mr. David Clark.
Another exciting week of high school football in the books, and I tell you what, can't wait to talk about the matchups toward the end of the show tonight, because the final week of the high school football season is going to be L-I-T, as the kids like to say.
Absolutely. And the Homer
I don't
Show
know if they say that or not. It's just what I think they say.
I definitely don't say it, so I'm going to say the kids say it. The Homer Show is brought to you, as always, by Darrell Vanover's Greater Owensboro Realty, the #1 realtor on the 270 depth chart. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, contact Darrell Vanover by phone or text at 270-315-0354. And I tell you, it seems like just a couple weeks ago, it's mid-July, and we're talking, 7-on-7s, and now here it is, final week of the football regular season coming up this week. It's crazy how fast it goes by.
There's no doubt. Just last night, the Apple Fest out at Reed's Orchard roundup, and it's like you blink an eye, and it goes from being like a heat index of 104 to being cold, and you're getting your hot apple cider. But I will say, the forecast for this past weekend out there at Reed's Orchard was looking dreary and just blah. You get out there on Saturday, the wind was blowing, but it was nice and warm as far as the sun being out. And then today was only supposed to be, yesterday was only supposed to be 55, but it wound up being like 60 and sunny. So Mother Nature really came through in the clutch out there. And it's just that, it's kind of like that rite of passage that you got to go through for fall.
It is.
It's not fall until it's Apple Fest.
That's right. And it's cold. That's usually like when it starts to turn the weather, and it's been a little earlier this year. I hope that's not foreshadowing of the winter is coming. So for the Game of Thrones fans out there.
Yeah, you're the defenders of the North, the Vikings fans.
The Vikings fan got a big win yesterday. How about that?
There you go.
Starting to get things going in the right direction finally.
We're not going to talk about the Kentucky game this week, because that 14-7 over Vanderbilt, that was one of the worst games. That's like 3 hours of my life I can't get back.
It was it was. I watched a good portion of it. The offense was rough. Defense is great. Josh Allen is a stud.
Yeah.
Who will be going in the upper part of the first round.
Hoping your Vikings are going to take him, right?
I take him in a heartbeat. Anthony Barr's contract's up. He looked awful good out there in Anthony Barr's spot. No question.
He's got to go.
But we talked about talking about football back in July, and I think this is a game that we had circled. This moredeals.com game of the week game this past week is a game we've had circled since about that time. We knew we were going to be doing it. We knew it was probably going to be for a home playoff spot. Let's go ahead and flash it back to Friday night, courtesy of Aunt M's Cafe at 802 North Main Street in Greenville, inside Uncle Lee's there, home of the best burger in the 3rd region. It was the moredeals.com game of the week, a 2A showdown for a home playoff spot. The McLean County Cougars hosting the Hancock County Hornets, and set the stage for you folks. It was, if you just remember Friday night, it was miserable. When you talk about the nice weather over the weekend, Friday night not so much. It was pouring down rain, and it literally poured from kickoff until the game was over, and then the wind kicked up right there at the end. It was just a bad night, but a great night for football. These kids were having a blast out there. You can see it. The final score, McLean County 23, Hancock County 8. And I'll just tell you right now, I needed it. I haven't called a game that intense, and, two rivals. They don't like each other in the same district. Good matchup. And it meant something. It had all the makings of a good game. And right off the bat, you get the 77-yard return from Baldwin. Set it up. Connor Baldwin, I believe, 77 yards, and then punched in by Miller, 7-0 McLean within 3 seconds, run off the clock. And you're thinking, all right, we're off and running. And the score remains 7-0 until midway through the 4th quarter. What a great defensive performance I felt like from both sides.
And then the defenses were being advantaged big time because of the weather. It was, like you said, it was raining the entire time, and there was times it was a downpour. Like, we were in the press box and our equipment was still getting wet through glass. That's how hard it was raining.
It was pouring down. Right? At times, I even mentioned on the broadcast, something about a hurricane. It felt like at points you were in because the wind was gusting.
It was bad. All over the whole tri-state, it was bad.
And credit both defenses, too, though. They were able to – a lot of good tackling is what I saw. And you didn't see a lot of missed tackles throughout the first 3 3.5 quarters. Very solid football. In the first half, you really had Peyton Caraway and help me out here, the quarterback, Clay. Darren Clay. I don't know how I forgot his name there.
We forget our own kids' names, so don't take any offense.
Clay, they were man on man. I mean, even when Clay would run the football, it was Caraway who would come make the tackle. Caraway would run the football, it was Clay that would make the tackle. Right. It was just a man on man to the first half. Nobody else really did all that much. And then midway through, the third quarter there, McLean's driving. Looks like they're going to steal the soul of Hancock County. Caraway gets the ball down inside the 10, and Harpenow comes out, punches the ball loose. Big turnover there for Hancock County to preserve the football. It goes into the fourth quarter, still 7-0, and Darian Clay finally gets loose down the sidelines for 51 yards. 7-6 is your score, and that's when the wheels kind of came off of the broadcast that we did. You talk about like a 15-minute delay, it felt like, because they had a penalty on Hancock County unsportsmanlike, and nobody really knew if they could assess the penalty on the extra point. Everybody's asking because the extra point's huge at this point, because Hancock County goes for 2 a lot, and all of a sudden it goes from the 2 back to the 17. That's huge at that point in the game. And the credit the official, they did take a long time, but they wanted to make sure they got it right, and I believe they did end up getting it right. They placed the ball back at the 17-yard line on the PAT.
And then once they placed the ball there was a false start penalty whenever Hancock was going to go for that 2-point conversion, and it happened right as the snap happened, so you could see what play Hancock was going to run. So, of course, they get pulled back another 5 yards and make it 22-yard attempt to get 2. And they go for the same exact play again. They run the same exact play they just ran and got 2 points.
If you listen back to the broadcast, you can hear the excitement from me, because Hancock County coming into the game and only thrown the ball 20 times all season, and they only completed 8 of them. So you're thinking, when they back the ball up to the 22, you're thinking there's maybe a 1% chance they convert this 2-point conversion. Harpenow throws a dart to the back corner to Clay. Got it 8-7.
Didn't even use their quarterback. Used the trick play to get the ball to Harpenow, and then their quarterback, traditionally, Darian Clay, goes up and makes the catch for the 2-point conversion. So Harpenow, and he put some spin on that ball out there in those wet conditions like we were talking about. He had ran some quarterback previously. Looks like he might be able to run some currently right now.
No doubt. And then it's 8-7 at that point. And during that long delay, Ward brings up, we're trying to think of something to keep the listeners interested, because quite frankly, we're trying to figure out what's going on too. Ward brings up the playoff scenario situation. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, they're going to need help from Butler County anyway, really, to have a shot at it. And I don't think Butler's going to be able to get Todd. We haven't checked the score all night. Ward pulls it up. It's 8-8 going into the fourth quarter. And I'm thinking, this is Hancock County's night. 8-7, and Butler County's going to win, and Hancock's going to steal this playoff game out of nowhere. Like RKO out of nowhere.
I wonder if the people in the crowd realized.
I don't think they did. Even the Hancock folks next to us were kind of stunned. Yeah. They were thinking, well, this is getting serious. Yeah. I heard them talking before the game, and they were really disappointed at the fact that even if they won, then they were most likely not going to be able to win the tiebreaker scenario.
That Butler game was tied at 8 as Hancock County scores that touchdown to go in to tie the game or take the lead. That's how close it was right there at that moment.
You can't
That's
help.
Incredible.
You can't help but think, like, this is fate. Like, Hancock County is going to get this done. So then they go on, they kick a squib kick. It's pouring down rain. It hits the kid in the hands. It bounces off his hands from McLean. He's able to get back on it. I had originally thought Hancock County had recovered.
Oh, my God.
It was a scrum for the football. It looks like everything's going to go the Hornets' way at that point. McLean recovers it. Very next play, handoff to the left side to Noah Baldwin. And if you listen back to the call, you can tell I don't think it's going for more than 5 or 6 yards, because Hancock has been so sure tackling all night. Noah Baldwin makes a few guys miss, and we've seen it for 2 years now. When Noah Baldwin gets in the open field, it's lights out, and Noah Baldwin takes it 60 yards to answer the score instantly, just like that.
Instantly, literally. I couldn't even get the tweet out. I was updating the Homer Maniacs on Twitter and Facebook with the new score that now Hancock had just taken the lead. Before I could get that typed up and sent out, there was already a touchdown score by Noah Baldwin.
That's awesome,
It's
man.
7-0, literally the first 3 seconds of the game, and there's not another score until 8 minutes to go in the game. You're thinking there's points midway through the third quarter. I'm thinking this game's going to end 7-0.
Right.
And then you get bang, bang, 2 touchdowns right there within about a 4-second period of game time. It's mind-blowing. And then Hancock gets the ball. Munster, who was a monster all night long for the Hancock County or McLean County defense, De La Cruz and company, Noah Knight, those guys come up huge. They get the stop, get their offense the ball back, and Ward, without even any hesitation, there's about 4 minutes on the game clock maybe, and McLean gets the ball back, and they've got the lead, and he says, without hesitation.
So it's Miller time right here.
Miller time.
In McLean County.
Right here.
Uh-oh.
Miller time in McLean County.
Pull it all the way
I got
all the way so they can see it.
Yeah, I got to get it off here.
Here, I got
get
your
the
back
jacket.
right here. We got to show the Homer Maniacs what this is.
Because you got Miller time on the front, and then Buddy Garrity Ford right here on the back. If you're familiar with Friday Night Lights, man, Buddy Garrity, it's kind of something me and Clark kind of joke about back and forth all the time. I literally marked out when they handed me this shirt that said Buddy Garrity Ford.
We got a picture of Buddy Garrity up right now. So if you didn't know who Buddy Garrity is, this is the guy right here, Buddy Garrity on the screen.
Legend in Texas high school football. Buddy Garrity.
Buddy
Dillon
Garrity.
High School. Yeah, absolutely.
Sell you a car and get you a Jumbotron.
No doubt about it.
And bring you a couple of recruits in.
Hey, Miller gets the ball 9 times consecutively on that drive.
It's not just a slogan on a cool T-shirt. It was legit because it was Miller time. He got the ball every snap. They fed it to him every time. I was kind of joking because the way they spread out the ball, they have 9 guys that carry the ball. But on that possession, me and Coach Wagner were thinking on the same wavelength because Miller got the ball every time, and he was just refusing to lose and ended up scoring a touchdown.
9 carries, 47 yards, pay dirt, touchdown, McLean County, and that did it. That sealed the deal for the Cougars. They go on and clinch the home playoff game outright. And I'll start with Hancock County because I'll tell you right now, that program's in great hands with Coach Eubanks.
Coach Eubanks.
I was so impressed. The way they battled through adversity all night long, and they played great defense. They tackled well. We kept saying it. The defense keeps giving them chances. And with Darian Clay, he can literally go to the house. If it hadn't poured down rain, he might have been even more of a fight. I think it definitely slowed. He was the fastest kid on the field, no question. And I think it definitely slowed him down a little bit. Credit McLean's defense, too. They're fantastic. But all in all, man, I think they battled. They put themselves in a position to win the game. And at the end of the day, I think McLean was just a little better. When you look down on senior night and you see, 18, 19 seniors for McLean.
It's pretty big.
Hancock's still a fairly young football team. So, I think that'll be Hancock in a couple years. But credit the McLean County seniors. And it kind of played out how we thought it would. I think the senior leadership we all thought would come through. When their backs were against the wall for McLean, the seniors made the play and got it done.
You talk about the defense from Hancock County. I think it's the best tackling I've seen all year. I don't know if they missed a tackle. Whenever they got to something, there was times that they couldn't tackle somebody big like Miller just because of size. But as far as textbook tackling somebody, wrapping them up and either bringing them down or keeping them to where your teammate can get over there and help you out, they did that perfectly, led by Mr. Spencer Harpino.
Yeah, I think Hancock they went through some tough years. I think that time is coming to an end. I just feel like this is a program that's going to continue to be the Hancock County we all know, thanks to a leader like Coach Eubanks is doing it. You can obviously see very fundamentally sound. They got some dudes too in Darian Clay.
Lucas Garrison, he was out there playing. He looked like a Trevor Garrison out there at times.
And I tell you what, another thing you look at is that 8th grade class that we've talked about a few times. They're still playing in the Kentucky Middle School playoffs in the small school division, Division III. They actually won the region 34-0 against Campbellsville. They're going to be in this Final Four in Lexington next Saturday. So
they got a pretty big name kid in 8th grade too, don't they?
Xander Early, man.
Yeah, Xander Early. Yeah, I thought you would know.
Oh, I know, man.
Yeah, we've been hearing the rumblings, man, and this kid's gonna be there.
And I'm with Ward. Like Ward said a couple weeks ago, you take that 8th grade class. Obviously next year they'll just be freshmen, but you know what? Darian Clay was a freshman last year.
Darian Clay, Lucas Garrison, and you've got Caleb Pate, who's really starting to contribute. Those guys are freshmen and sophomores, so by the time this 8th grade class are sophomores, those guys are going to be seniors and juniors, so you better watch out.
There'll be a problem, is what they're going to be.
That's what I'm saying. Coach Eubanks, you can tell, like I said, very well-coached football
People are going to be having 1999 Travis Atwell flashbacks over in Hallsville, Kentucky, baby.
That's some big shoes right there, and we want to thank House Insurance all year long, sponsoring the Hornet. We obviously got one more week left, but big thanks to House Insurance for coming on board and sponsoring the Hornet of the week every week all year long. At 75 East Wing Court in Hallsville. Give them a call at 270-927-8841. The winner of our Player of the Week this week will be Mr. Spencer Harpenow. I thought he was fantastic. Anytime I get to call a game and I call out a young man's name 8, 9, 10 times on defense, he's doing something. And that kid was all over the field, and he forced that big fumble on Caraway that really, it could have been a nail in the coffin. McLean County scores there. It's going to be very difficult for Hancock. They get a big turnover, put themselves in position to win the game, and he also made the great pass on the 2-point conversion to put him out in front. I thought he played a fantastic game.
Yeah, we always try to look for some defenders at the games we're at, and he stood out. He was just everywhere on the field. I was listening back to the play-by-play from the game, and you actually said it. You said Harpenow is everywhere out here after he made one of his probably 14, 15 tackles in the ball game.
Yeah, and I don't have the tackle stats in front of me, but I'll tell you, he had double digits. I'll just go ahead and tell you that. He was all over the place. And credit also the whole entire Hancock County defense. They really brought it. If you get back to McLean County really quick, we'll go through some stats. Caraway dominated the first half, really led the way from McLean. I think their other ball carriers were held to 20-something yards, and Caraway had something like 112 there at the half. 9 carries for 120. Baldwin was bottled up for most of the game, but that big 60-yarder was huge. 11 carries for 104 and a touchdown. And Jacob Miller with that huge drive, 9 carries, 74 yards on the final drive, put him right at 100 yards for the ball game. 2 touchdowns after that touchdown to open the game from 3 yards out as well from Connor Baldwin's big 77-yard return to open the game. De La Cruz had a sack, and I tell you, we talked about Harpenow on that side. Noah Knight and Munster, man, both, especially Munster. The kid is just a sophomore, and I tell you right now, that kid in the paper. I noticed pregame. I always read the message on Friday morning. To get into it.
There it is.
He said his favorite thing about defense, man, going sideline to sidelines. It shows because the kid is everywhere. I don't think there's a tackle that he doesn't at least assist on in the ball game. It was kind of very the Catholic linebackers that come to mind for thinking any of ball, any of those guys. It kind of reminds me of Munster out there. I thought Noah Knight had a great game as well.
Talk about Noah Knight. I think he got it done defensively, and then he was out there destroying people, blocking for that McLean County run game. Whenever I was listening back to the replay of the game, which you can find at Homer's Radio or anywhere you listen to podcasts at, just search Homer's Radio. The McLean County Hancock Game of the Week, brought to you by Don Moore. You said it several times. You said, "Look at that block right there by Noah Knight," and he had the block. He had the hit of the game on a block. Our response to it was just laughing. That's all.
I mean, it's hard to really call it out because it was punishing, and they would get that little pitch to Caraway, and Knight would lead the way. It's like the Brothers of Destruction out there, man, getting it done.
You're only as good as your blocking.
Yeah,
I don't care if you're Benny Snell or you're Noah Baldwin or you're Miller, whoever you are. You got to have a path in front of you. Now, certain backs can navigate those paths better than others, but you better have some blocking in front of you.
Absolutely.
It's everything.
I thought the Eubanks had a good game for them. All in all, you can mention almost every kid that played out there for both squads. I thought they all left it on the line in a huge game. Awesome speech I saw from Coach Wagner post-game that he's going to host their first playoff game since '93, I believe, over there in Calhoun, and we'll be there. I'll tell you right now, we will be in the house. Huge thanks to the Eubanks in general. They got us we put the picture up, the big cookie cake and the pizza. I mean, it's just, we really do appreciate that. I mean, it's great. I mean,
you got a T-shirt, you got the pizza.
And I got the T-shirt.
So from Casey's General Store, man, that pizza's fire, man.
This is my shirt I was wearing
jealous of y'all, man.
During the Vikings game yesterday. I took it off, threw it in the washing machine, got it ready for tonight, and I tell you what, it was Miller time on Friday night there at the end of the ball game. Let's go ahead and get
first time hosting a playoff game since 2009, according to Drew Crabtree.
Okay.
And he played in that game, so I'm gonna go ahead and say he probably knows.
Okay,
thank you, Mr. Crabtree.
He would know, if he played in it.
If he played in it, I'm sure I'll defer to him then.
That's right.
But let's go ahead and get to our McLean County Player of the Week, brought to you by the #1 booster club in the tri-state area, responsible for giving me this T-shirt. That's why they're absolutely getting the #1 booster club in the tri-state area, the McLean County Booster Club, and the winner's going to be the Baldwin brothers, Noah and Connor Baldwin, getting it done with big games. The 2 biggest plays of the game came from the Baldwins.
Not Alec Baldwin.
No.
Noah and Connor.
Noah and Connor.
Connor went 80 yards on a kickoff return that really set the pace for the first pretty much 3/4 of that football game, and then Noah Baldwin sealed it with that big 60-yard touchdown run. So 140 yards right there on 2 plays from the Baldwin brothers.
That'll do it.
Yeah, and we'll mix that in with the Todd Butler game. Obviously, that was a big factor at one point in the game. Todd did get the win 29-14 over Butler County. Butler County coverage this season brought to you courtesy of Morgantown Bank and Trust, 208 North Main Street in Morgantown, Kentucky. You can give them a call at 270-526-3881. And this is another team, much like Hancock, very young, playing the young guys now. And in a couple years, I think Butler will be back to what we saw, with the Rex Henderson days, with the younger.
You got Jagger Henderson at quarterback. Yeah, I think Coach Embry's done a great job. He's just building a program right now.
And
Butler's blueprint should be Grayson the last 2 years.
And they've been competitive.
Which is playing the young guys right now, taking your lumps, and then in a couple years, reaping the benefits of what you sowed over the past couple years. And, honestly, you may take your lumps this year, but we saw Grayson County turning around in one season. Butler County may be able to do the same thing. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to get that sophomore that just goes from a freshman to a sophomore and bam, turns the light switch on.
You never know when that jump is going to come. And it could come not only mentally, like you said, but it also could come physically. I'll never forget the jump that former All-American Justin Miller, the football Justin Miller at Owensboro, when he was a freshman, really honestly wasn't ready to be on the field. But by the time the sophomore season came around, you're like, holy crap, that's a D1 kid.
Yeah.
And it all happened in a summer. Yeah. It's just amazing. So, Jagger Henderson can make a big jump. You just never know what's going to happen. But I think Coach Embry's done a good job. I really do. I know a lot of people say, well, how can you say that, Clark? He's been competitive with Russellville and was leading Todd County Central, who had a big win over Hancock County.
Sure, they're up 8-0.
There's been some moments this year for Butler County when they've been put in some good positions and made some plays. And you can't even do that without some good coaching.
Yeah, and I think like you said, you start laying the foundation now, taking your lumps, but the foundation's laid. So when you roll into next season, expectations a little higher, and some of these close games start turning into wins instead of moral victories.
Right.
And I think that's really where the hay is made. I want to thank all the teams. All 4 of those teams right there made my Friday night fun because it meant something. I felt like the intensity level was there in the press box at McLean County. I had a lot of fun.
About a 15-minute run that Steve sounded like a kid on Christmas.
I did. I needed it, man. I needed it. It's been, I've taken my lumps this year.
Yeah.
I feel like
me too. I have taken some.
And I've taken some whenever you guys were calling some good ones, and I'm stuck in the hospital ER, like listening on, and it's like, I should be there. It's been a rough go of it for me. So I want to thank everybody for making my Friday night awesome. And then, of course, the McLean County Cougars, we'll see you in a couple weeks in the playoffs. We'll go ahead and switch gears now to the Dave Clark special.
Oh, okay.
I have it up on the YouTube page, OHS 47. Graves County 6, and Owensboro reclaims their throne, I feel like, in the district, getting the district championship regular season there with the big win. Owsley, four carries. I had to look at this a couple times, okay, because he's Mr. Yard per carry or yard per catch, I feel like. Was he like in the 30s last year, I felt like?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. I
believe he was 10.5 last year.
Yeah, this is insane. 4 carries, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns.
There you go, Steve. What's that say?
37 yards per touch there.
That's insane.
That's just, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
4 carries, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. What happened on the one where he didn't score, though? Because he only had 3 of the 4 going.
He scored his first.
They tackled him once. I mean,
they did, and I can't remember.
Or he ran out of bounds.
Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe he slipped on the wet turf.
It was raining.
It was raining. He looked like he was shot out of a cannon. He actually got his jersey ripped and had to switch to number 29. I thought it was a freshman, but I was like, man, that freshman looks pretty good. It was Bonnie.
Who's this kid?
I thought it was Bird. I thought it was JVS Taylor. I was like, because I know Bird's fast. He's a track guy. He finished 3rd in the state in 8 in the 100 meters for last year. But yeah, it was Bonnie.
Nice.
It was Bonnie.
Okay, all right.
But as far as the game, I fully expected Owensboro would win district this year. I felt like with the offense, the defensive adjustments, especially in the second half of the season when all those district games took place, I felt very confident Owensboro was going to win not only this game but win district. What I maybe didn't see coming was that every single district game. No, I take that back. The Christian County game wasn't a running clock, but the rest of them were. Christian County game could have been a running clock, but then they put in the backups there at the end. Christian County scored twice. I really think Owensboro's rounding out into form. You know, we talk about, you know, Owensboro. What can keep Owensboro from taking that next step? It's Owensboro. It's a turnover here, a drop pass here, but to me right now it's two things. It's turnovers and penalties. I feel like Owensboro did a good job against Graves County. They did have one turnover that actually did lead to the Graves County score, but I think a part of that was due to the wet ball.
Sure.
You know, with them running out of the shotgun.
Pouring down rain.
It was a good snap. I went back and watched his good snap. Will just couldn't handle it, got away from him. Guy scoops it up and takes it pretty far down the field. But, you know, honestly, there's not a lot to complain about right now if you're OHS. The defense is really, really good.
I thought this was a huge test for their defense. I think you can talk about Graves County coming into this game averaging almost 50 points a game inside district, and they've been on a roll. I mean, their offense has been unstoppable, and they smoked Christian County. They beat Apollo in a very close game, but they scored a ton of points,
60,
almost 700 total yards in that game. And then I was trying to see how Owensboro's defense would hold up against a somewhat explosive offense like Graves, and they shut them completely out. I think that's what sticks out to me as the most impressive thing in the game. You know, Monty's going to do his thing. Will's going to do his thing. The defense, to me, is what's changed Owensboro from being maybe a two-win team in the playoffs to being a team that could, quite frankly, go win state if they can put it together.
Yeah, I think obviously the road's going to be very difficult, but again, the process. I'm with Coach Fallon. I think this Henderson game, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, that is a great test going into the playoffs. You know, I obviously got to see Gavin Wimsatt get some more work in this game. You know, and Gavin hasn't done maybe what everybody thought he would do in some of these varsity games, but even the mistakes, you can't replicate those snaps in a JV game.
Sure.
You can't replicate those snaps in a freshman game. The only experience that you can get is through that varsity that you can get gainful, valuable minutes and film and all that stuff. The looks you're going to get, you just can't get at the lower levels. But not a lot to pick from Owensboro right now. Good job, Devils.
Absolutely. On a roll. Will Warren, 178, 2 touchdowns. Hayden, another big game, 6 catches, 125 and a touchdown. Green, 9 carries, 120 yards and a touchdown. The Ultimate Warrior, Austin Goff, on the goal line, the most fearsome goal line back there is, rushed it in for a touchdown, and Tinsley caught a touchdown as well. So Owensboro rolling through. Let's go ahead and get to our Owensboro Player of the Week, brought to you by Greater Owensboro Realty's Darrell Vanover. Give him a call or text him, 270-315-0354. And the winner is going to be Mr. Monty Owsley. 37 yards a touch. 3 or 4 times he touched, he went in for a score over 148 yards total in the ball game.
I want to say this about Monty. I watched the end of the Ohio State-Purdue game. You know, Jeff Brom's at Purdue.
Sure.
And credit to Jeff Brom. You want to talk about representing Kentucky. He's a Louisville guy, played at the University of Louisville. He played in XFL with He Hate Me. Everybody remembers that, right?
That's right.
But he's a head coach at Purdue now, was head coach at Western Kentucky. He is recruiting Western Kentucky with a vicious passion right now.
He is. And it's paying off.
And it is paying off. You look at Kenneth Major from Christian County, 3 interceptions on the season, leads the team in interceptions. You look at a kid, Rondale Moore. Absolutely. He's from Louisville, played for Louisville Trinity. I know it's a bad word around here, but he absolutely dominated Ohio.
He's getting some talk for freshman of the year in the whole nation.
Ohio State couldn't touch. They couldn't tackle Rondale Moore in a phone booth.
Yeah.
He absolutely. And I look down at a kid like Monty. Now I realize Monty doesn't squat 600 pounds like Rondale Moore, but Rondale's 5'7". You know, about 180 pounds. He's short. He's well built. Monty's got, and you look at their game. Their game is predicated at being in open space, the cuts, the vision, and being at full speed in 2 or 3 steps. Monty Owsley is very, very similar to Rondale Moore in terms of that game. I don't know any. This is not any behind the scenes stuff. I'm just telling you some of the things I know. Purdue has been in Owensboro's locker room over the past 6 months.
Okay. I didn't know. Okay.
So. Just saying, I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna throw them on the table, and we'll see if they come up Yahtzee.
See if we can get Brom in the Owsley connection. That'd be a good fit. I tell you, the Boilermakers are on the rise, no question about it. Let's go ahead and move it on to the Apollo Eagles now. Get right game 50-7. They get the win over Marshall County. I think it's fitting that Apollo goes for 50 in their 50th anniversary, right?
Right.
Closing down their home stadium.
I love it.
And they go for 50. They put a 50 burger up on Marshall County.
F-I-D-D-Y.
Business, man.
50.
Here's another thing that I like about what Apollo did this week. Once I started, I didn't get to see the game, obviously, but I started diving into the statistics and breaking the game down. You know, I think last week we put on the table that Apollo was really struggling with their identity offensively.
Yes.
They struggled defensively for a little while. They fixed that. They credit them. They
did. Yeah,
I thought they played Owensboro put 40 on them, but I thought their defense played fantastic in that game.
Yeah.
Their offense put them in some bad spots. They tackled pretty good. They let Tyron Hayden get loose a couple times, but overall I thought they tackled pretty well in that game, so they fixed it. Offensively has been the problem. So what do? They go and we're going to pound for the rest of the season, however many games left we may have, we're going to be a running football team. They only threw the ball, I think, 9 times in this game. And then Mariano McKenzie for 96 yards and 2 scores. Marvin Ramirez, the power back.
Yeah.
152 and 2 touchdowns. And they got a kid, John Lynn, 96, young kid.
About 6'3".
Yeah, big boy.
Yeah.
96 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Clark did throw a touchdown to Gage Hayden, but over 300, almost 300 yards, I should say, in the game on the ground for the Apollo Eagles. Cameron Baker, 8 tackles. He did force a fumble, scoop and score for Cameron Baker. And Logan Weedman, once again, adds to his ridiculous stats with 3 more sacks, 16 total on the season. Should keep him right there at the top.
I think Stoops is just going to go and lock down that commitment now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he looked good coming off the edge in a UK uniform. Of course, we're still a few years away from that as a kid. He's just a sophomore.
Right, but a young sophomore.
I like it, man. You go ahead and establish that identity, because I'll tell you another thing I noticed, which we'll talk about it, but I was reading through some of the coaches' quotes in the paper, and I noticed that Coach Brandon, he did talk a little bit about the win that we'll talk about here in a minute versus Ohio County, but he's right off the jump, we're going to stop Apollo's run game. Just randomly in the article about Ohio County.
Yeah.
You know, he's already thinking about it. And I think that's what we're thinking, too, the clash of styles. Davis County airs it out. Apollo runs, and Apollo's kind of set the stage for that, getting ready with the big win here. I like it. They established that identity in this game.
Apollo did exactly what they needed to do, and I think defensively, the fact that they held Marshall to 7 points is good as well. Marshall switched from the spread to the old school option, and it is nice to see Apollo be able to do that. It was nice to see Apollo's seniors and their football program close the stadium with the big win. To me, that's the theme of the night.
Yeah, and you know, like I said last week, it's just so many memories in that stadium to close it down. I saw Brittany, who goes to Catholic. She teaches there now, but she's a student at Apollo. Tweeted out pictures. Several people are tweeting out pictures saying, "I spent a lot of Friday nights here." It is kind of sad.
It is sad.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think Apollo, I definitely think basketball or I think baseball. But whenever I was growing up, I was there every Friday night. We took some lumps sometimes, but there was some good teams that come through there too, and a lot of memories. I drove by there yesterday, and I slowed down and then kind of looked over there, and I was like, "This is crazy. There's never going to be another football game. A varsity football game played there. It's just really strange." And I'm sure the new facility is going to be great. It's going to be kind of a change in the culture, but it's still sad, obviously. But it's good news that they close it out with the big-time victory. Let's go ahead and get to our Apollo Player of the Week, courtesy of Heritage Park Preschool. That's 3802 Legacy Run, 270-683-0611. The winner, Mr. Mariano McKenzie.
You win.
Stepping up, leading the team to open up the game. 2 big touchdowns for Mariano, right at 100 yards, just adding to his Heisman resume, our August Player of the Month, continuing to try to, bolster that resume to get those votes to win the Homer's Heisman and follow his former teammate Peyton Peters, the reigning Heisman Award winner.
Heisman resides at Apollo now.
No doubt. I made a misprint here. Davis County's 53. Ohio County 6 in a game that me and Ward were following in the first quarter. It was only 7-0 with about 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. We're thinking, man, Ohio County's really hanging in. And then we checked the score again, and it just really got away. Davis County exploded there in the later moments of that first quarter. Joey Cameron, 244 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Markwell Tinsley was a monster. And what else? You could say that. You could pretty much record that statement and play it every week that Markwell Tinsley plays. I mean,
leading receiver in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah, he's a
beast,
stud.
man.
I mean, 5 catches, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a 15-yard pick six. He's just as good on defense, I feel like, sometimes he is on offense. Blake Baker and Nally, both with touchdown receptions. And Riley filling in for the injured Landon Newman, 7 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. On the other side for Ohio County, Caden Brown had the 25-yard touchdown run to get the Eagles on the board. But Davis County did what they needed to do. They came out, handled their business, and now set their sights on the big city-county matchup that's Apollo, which we'll talk about later on.
I think it was important for Davis County to get through this game without any additional injuries. Obviously, the injury bug is not being kind to the Davis County Panthers this year. It was nice for them to go in, handle their business. And I think if you look at Ohio County, they got some positives out of this game. They was able to hang in there for a solid half a quarter, and they scored a touchdown against Davis County. And again, anytime that your back's against the wall, the season isn't going as well as you hope, you just got to keep fighting. I mean, even at the end of the day, the season's over and you don't win a game or the result didn't go, you've got to keep building because there's always next season.
Yeah, and I think they'll have an opportunity coming up this week. A couple teams will have an opportunity to go out in style with a victory to close out their season. We'll get to the Hartford Hustler of the Week, brought to you by Dairy Queen there in Beaver Dam, right next to the high school there in Ohio County. The winner is going to be 2 weeks in a row, Mr. Caden Brown. Bulldozer, since they got him back running the football, he's starting to find the end zone a little bit, and so hats off to him, our Hartford Hustler of the Week.
I did see a highlight on Home Team Friday, and the Bulldozer name is listed. He ran over like 3 Davis County players, man.
He's a truck, and no doubt about it. And his spirits are still high. I know, I follow him on Twitter, and like I say, I think he's got his eyes. They all got their eyes kind of on this coming week, try to get that victory to close out the season. For the Davis County Panthers, obviously, I think Apollo's on the mind. Like I say, I thought it was funny that Coach Brandon, talking about Ohio County, the first quote I saw in there was, great win. We handled our business. We did what we're supposed to do. Now we've got to find a way to stop Apollo's running attack. I just thought that really stood out to me. And that
they're ready.
This game, I'm telling you, this game is big for both of these schools, and they're feeling it's going to close out the season. I love that it's at the end of the year. Let's go ahead and get to our Davis County Player of the Week, brought to you by Black Diamond Pest Control at 270-282-8586 or online at bdpest.com or 877 Dead bug. The winner's going to be Alex Nally, wide receiver for the Davis County Panthers. Just one of their 100 weapons I feel like they have on the offensive side of the football.
That's right. Davis County got that lethal offense, man. It's going to keep them in a game against anybody.
That was just a simple short pass to him, and he broke it for like 75 yards. So, I mean, they got playmaker. I think he's the one that's really going to step up for Landon Newman. I don't think he'll be running the ball out of the backfield, but as far as making big explosive plays, I think he'll be able to step in pretty well for him.
It seems like the Riley kid is really, you talked about him a while ago, but obviously losing Landon Newman, it's really hard to replace Landon Newman. But I think Riley has been a very valuable asset to the team coming off the bench.
You got to replace that guy by committee, and I think that's what they're doing with him.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's a couple guys that have stepped in, like Nally and him as well. So we'll move it on. Across the Blue Bridge, unfortunately, South Spencer running Rebels will end 49-7 on the loss to Southridge this week. Finished 2-8 on the season, but they battled. Obviously, like we talked about with Butler, got to lay the groundwork somewhere, and it took a couple lumps this year. But man, what a tough schedule.
I don't make a lot of promises, but I promise you this. John Edge ain't going to finish 2-8 next year.
No.
It ain't happening.
I'll put the money on the table right now.
Right now.
Wants to go again.
Well, let's go. We'll put it in a GoFundMe account just to secure it. I'm telling you right now, they will not go 2-8. They got a lot. They only have 6 seniors or something on their team. John Edge is going to get it figured out.
They're not real far away from winning 4 or 5 games this year. There's a couple of things that could have broke the right way for them, and instead of 2 wins, they could have very easily finished with 4 or 5 wins. I think you'll see those wins be picked up. He'll teach his team how to learn, and then you'll see an extra couple wins picked up.
Especially that North Posey and Tell City games. Those are the two,
I instantly say that they're good for 4 next year.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say they'll push 5. I'd say they'll hunt 5 somewhere in the mix next season.
You just never know. I'm telling you, give him a little more time. You never know what's going to happen, man.
Yeah, so in our coverage all year long for the South Spencer Rebels, a big shout out to Chris Harney, Keller Williams Realty, the #1 realtor on the 812 depth chart, 812-660 Owensboro 26-51, and without them, the coverage for we wouldn't expand the coverage. So we start expanding north maybe for the Homers Radio Network next year a little bit.
That's right. Chris Harney has definitely made it possible, and
he was. I mean, it was all them, and they wanted to be a part of it, and we're all about it. We want to follow as many schools as we possibly can.
And we want to talk. And Chris, I'm just saying, we want to talk some Rebel basketball too. I'm just saying, Chris Harney.
Absolutely, no doubt. They got Owensboro Catholic on the schedule. There's no doubt. We can just keep this thing going. Let's go ahead and get to our Rebel of the Year. It's going to be the quarterback, Mr. Kobe Bartlett. I think he won 2 other Player of the Week awards as the season went along. Just the kid that's going to be molded, and I think it's a guy in Southern Indiana that's just going to continue to grow as he has more time under Coach Edge.
Kobe's still learning the system. I mean, for the Franklin system's easy to install in the base sets, but diving into those next level, diving into those check downs, Kobe's still learning how to do that. You think about a whole nother season, off-season preparation, and Kobe's going to be ready to go in 2019.
Now take us to our Inspector Gadget scoreboard. That's Inspector Gadgets at 503 East 18th Street. Give them a call at 270-689-0777. And it might as well be sponsored by Q McHenry because he's showing up in this scoreboard every week. Grayson County 25, Barron County 3. That's going to secure Grayson County's spot in the three slot there in that district behind South Warren and Bowling Green.
That's
so,
right.
I mean, you're in pretty good territory there. They will head to Graves County in the first round. A very winnable game.
Very winnable.
For
They're
Grayson
going to win
County.
that one.
And Ward immediately, we found out who they were playing. They're going to win their playoff game. They're going to win. They're going to beat
Q will
Graves
have
County.
400 yards if he needs to against that defense.
That's what we didn't talk about just a few minutes ago. As good as that Graves County offense is, that defense is equally as bad.
Yeah, I think Q will have a huge game. He had a big one this past Friday night, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. He also caught for 77 yards receiving there in the ball game as Grayson County continues to roll in the right direction. And down in Edmondson County, took one on the chin, did the Wildcat / sharpshooters. Lash LaRue, 54. Edmondson County, 18.
Boo, the fighting Rusty LaRue's. How about that?
It. Either way, it's LaRue with the victory over our sharpshooters. Bye week this week to Owensboro Catholic High School. Kick their feet up, get ready for South Warren. As always, our Owensboro Catholic coverage brought to you by St. Maximilian Kolbe Catholic Book and Gift. Give them a call at 270-689-9485. And this worked a few weeks ago, which, I mean, I was a little more down in the dumps that week. This week, I'm riding pretty high. It's been a pretty good week.
Pretty good.
But another reason why it was a good week, close it out in style. Breckenridge County Fighting Tigers, 29. Louisville Valley, 13. You can ask Ward. I'm checking the score in the box up there.
That's when it became Christmas morning officially. Whenever he seen this score,
it was tied. Wasn't
lit up.
Was it 13-13 when I got the first update? And I was happy then. I was like, oh man, this is great.
You called them the Fighting Tigers.
Yeah,
then you looked at the score update the next time, and they were winning by 2 touchdowns. You said the Fighting Tigers have now turned to the Pouncing Tigers.
That's it. They're pouncing. They went from fighting. They ain't fighting no more. They done pounced. They done got the victory.
Yeah.
It's over, man. 29-13. What a win on the road for Breckenridge County.
Yeah.
Big shout out to the offensive line. Those young men paved the way for 350 rushing yards in the game, and they get it done. They'll be the 3 seed in their district there. Great job. Moves to 4-5 on the season. 4 wins from a team that didn't win any games a year ago. And, man, what a ride it's been for the Tigers this year. Unbelievable. Let's go ahead and get to our Tiger of the Week, brought to you courtesy of Parrish Implement, 689 Broadway in Brandenburg. Chainsaws, blowers, trimmers, and outdoor power equipment. That is Parrish Implement. And the winner's going to be, you might have heard this one before.
Might have.
Trevor Dyer, 31 carries, 277 yards and 2 touchdowns. And on the defensive side, racked up 9 tackles. But Dyer is really solidifying. You talk about building a Heisman resume. This kid's doing it.
And what's funny is whenever you read that score of Breck having that 2-touchdown lead late in the game, I said, well, Dyer's probably got 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and double-digit tackles. You let me down on 1 tackle.
One tackle.
Come on, Trevor.
1 tackle.
While we're at it, though, while we're talking about Breck County, got to give another Breck County Tiger of the Week. to the volleyball team. Brought home the 3rd region crown. Took out Apollo in the finals.
If you look at that path for Breckenridge, they beat Catholic before that, right?
They absolutely did.
went through Catholic and Apollo, 2 volleyball powerhouses in the 3rd region. Folks, the road doesn't get, I know we don't talk volleyball here on HRN very much. The road doesn't get much tougher than going through Catholic and Apollo to win the 3rd region volleyball championship.
Since the road there was so tough, they got a police escort back to Harnett.
That was awesome.
They should.
That was pretty legit. I think it's the Breck Athletics that you can find that on their Twitter account.
Yeah, and
you can also find it at homersradio.com, a great article that I believe Brandon Wood here wrote about it's great week to be a Tiger. That thing's got some circulation.
It does, man. They deserve it, man.
I think the part that all the Breck County fans like is it's a good week to be a Tiger. It might just be the beginning because you think their basketball team, most loaded talent coming back on the boys' side, arguably on the girls' side as well. And then you think about their baseball team, our reigning MVP resides in Breck County. It's going to be a good year entirely for Breck County.
Yeah, you got the eyes of Tiger Nation on you, Stephen A. Turner, here in a couple weeks. See where this preseason basketball poll is going to be ranked.
First of all, the volleyball team, 9th District dominated volleyball since it began until last year. Meade County was the first non-9th District team to win the region. And now Breckenridge County keeps it in the 11th. So now the 11th District they close the gap, man. So hats off, man. That's big time. And spoiler alert. I mean, to anybody who doesn't know, Fighting Tigers are preseason number 1.
Oh, you already get. Oh, Stephen A. Turner.
Who else could it be, though? It would be different if it was a tight race.
Right.
But, I mean, let's be honest. You got the 3rd region player of the year preseason.
Kobe Poole.
It's not even close.
Are we talking basketball right now?
We are, because I'm writing it.
This is.
I'm already writing it.
I just can't believe that. It doesn't seem real that basketball is that close.
Listen, people are talking about the NBA right now, which makes me want to vomit. It's mid-October. Okay? Basketball the finals were just 2 weeks ago, and we're already talking regular season NBA again. Like, I don't care. Talk to me about it around Christmas. That's when I'll get interested. Because right now I'm flat out not. But high school basketball, I'm fully entrenched.
It's not that far away.
I dove in, started to look at some of these teams, and it is going to be
We're about
a good year to be
5 to 6 weeks away from the tip-off of the season.
Patrick Critchlow's got a bunch.
Yeah, he does.
They're all back. The theme of the year in the 3rd region is everybody lost everybody. I mean, there's a handful of guys, obviously. I don't want to disrespect some of these kids like Dakota Walden and guys like that who are coming back who are going to be very good. That being said, they've got all their dudes back, and they're going to be the only team that's really fully stocked from a year ago. So, we'll do our basketball previews here in a couple weeks.
As Brandon Ward said at homersradio.com, it's a good week to be a Tiger.
Yeah, Bluegrass Prep's got me a deadline for the 31st.
That's
so
right.
I got to get on my horse here and finish this thing up. That's why we're talking about it. We'll take a break, come right back, and give you some fantasy studs and a brand new Shelbyville Entire Top 10 right here on the Homers Radio Network.
It's the B.F. Evans Ford end of summer sell down. Right now, buy a new EcoSport SUV for only $17,995, a new Fusion for $18,995, or Escape for only $19,995. Get a hot deal on a cool new F-150 truck and save as much as $10,000 off MSRP. Buy your next vehicle at the B.F. Evans Ford end of summer sell down or pay too much. B.F. Evans Ford in Livermore. Shop online anytime at bfevansford.com.
Welcome back to the Homer Show. It's time to jump into the fantasy studs. We got top 11 this week. Couldn't leave anybody out. Had some good weeks this week.
Expanded it
to 11, courtesy of Legends Sports Bar. Got that one extra one in there, courtesy of Legends.
That's right.
4431 Spring Hill Drive, just off Highway 54. That's Legends Sports Bar. Let's go ahead and jump into the top 11.
Starting it off at number 11, it'll be Green with 24.
Yeah, big game. I couldn't leave him out. 24 points, pretty solid performance. You touched the ball only 9 times, and you still go for 24 fantasy points. Big night.
Yeah, he averaged 13.3 yards per carry. Just a measly 13.
Just a first down every time I touch it. I mean, it's not 30 yards per carry or anything, but yeah, pretty good night. And that's dynamic. Green has made Owensboro very, very dynamic.
Yeah, I think so.
And he's very
X
underrated.
factor for him. We talked about a lot of times that there's always that one focus. I think whenever Monty starts getting a lot of attention, Trey Green's that guy's going to make all the teams pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if he doesn't, speak of the next guy, number 10, Tyron Hayden, 25 points.
That's right. I laugh because it's like to me, I'm thinking about like trying to be a defensive coordinator, trying to defend.
I don't even know.
Like that would not not be fun.
Yeah, and that's why when I go back to saying I thought Apollo defended them pretty well for me watching the game, I thought, it's too much stuff to stop. I mean, how many guys can you possibly defend out here? Tyron Hayden's just a beast. I mean,
he's been the most
6'4", and he can run like
he's been the most consistent. He's about 6'1", about 6'1", on the height. But he is consistent, right? Your receivers need to be consistent. You think about Marquell Tinsley, you think about Peyton Peters, you think about some of the great receivers that have come through the area over the last few years. You think consistency. They consistently run their routes right, and they consistently catch the ball. That's Tyron Hayden.
Talk about consistency. How about this guy, number 9, our August Player of the Month and one of 4 high school Heisman nominees, Mariano McKenzie, 26 for the Eagles.
Mr. Steady, I feel like. I think Apollo got away from maybe try to start throwing the ball more than what they wanted to do, got back to what they do this week, and McKenzie with 26 points right where he has been all season, right there in the top 10.
How about number 7 for our upcoming matchup on the moredeals.com game of the week? Apollo defense, Davis County defense, 27 points each.
Calculated it twice. Both of them had a score. Both defenses scored in the ball game, and they both pitched darn near shutouts in the game. Yardage-wise, it checks out, and 27 points for each defense. Not as good as my Broncos this week, who went for 39, which, that performance won me the game. If you get 27 from your defense, like Apollo and Davis County, you're going to win your fantasy game 99% of the time.
Yeah. Keep it with the Apollo Eagle theme here. Number 6, Marvin Ramirez checking in for the first time this year. 28 fantasy points.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that, man? That's awesome.
I always like it when you can get the new guy. He checks in, goes for 150, 2 scores, big time. Put them away. The closer for Apollo this week.
The closer, Marvin Ramirez. I like that.
This top 5 coming up is loaded. Listen to this top 5. Checking in at number 5, Marquell Tinsley only leads the state in receiving, 34 fantasy points.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of these games, you kind of wonder what they would do if they went full bore the whole way. I feel like probably got about a good half of work with 34 points. And he's just been there all year long, and what you would expect with 34.
David Clark, what's a Division I player look like? Marquell Tinsley. There's your answer.
It's been a treat to watch him.
Looks like number 4 as well. Monty Owsley, 41 points, touched the ball 4 times.
At rush for 4, I think he caught a couple balls too in the ball. And just overall, pretty good performance from 41 from Owsley. It's a big offensive week when 41's got you sitting in the 4 spot.
It is.
Back-to-back 5+ touchdown performances for this guy. He was our leading fantasy scorer last year. Checks in number 3 this week, 45 for Joey Cameron.
Yeah, just a day at the office for Joey Cameron. Even, on the days where it really doesn't go Davis County's way, you can still – he's that fantasy quarterback you know is going to go out and get you 30, 40 points every time he walks out on the field, and does it at a high level every week.
Setting at number 2, Grayson County Cougars, Hugh McHenry, 47 fantasy points.
It's not every week that I can get a hold of his actual statistics to throw him in the top 10. That's why he's not in there every week. But this week I had him on hand, so I used him. 47 points for McHenry, and he still didn't get the top spot.
No, that's insane.
It's a huge game, and if you throw the defensive stats, I'm sure the tackles, I'm sure he's right up there too, because he's electric on defense too.
Speaking of somebody that's pretty good on offense and defense, our September Player of the Month checking in at number 1, Trevor Dyer of the Breck County Tigers, 48 fantasy points.
I do believe this is the 3rd time he's been at the top spot.
At least.
Dude, this kid is legitimately making a case for the Heisman.
And he broke the record for the most fantasy points ever in a week, 68.
Somebody messaged us whenever we were doing the updates throughout the games, and they said, man, I hope this kid gets a chance to play in college. I said, he could play for KWC this week.
Yeah.
He just played a football game Friday. You suit him up Saturday and run him onto the field for KWC, and he'll get some playing time.
I wouldn't bet against it.
Who's going to tell me this kid can't play college football? I mean, are you kidding me?
Well, if somebody told you that, then their opinion about anything after that come out of their mouth would be invalid.
Void.
The only reason why he's not getting looked at heavily is because people are sleeping on. They must not know where beautiful scenic Harnett is.
He's been on a lot of recruiting visits. I've seen him with WKU. He's been at WKU. Yeah. He's been at KWC, of course. He's made the rounds. He's going to play college football.
There's zero doubt. I mean, this kid might very well be the best player in the 3rd region.
He might be, and right on course. You got the Heisman resume to back him.
And we got several D1 prospects in this area, so it's saying something.
No question about it. We'll go ahead and switch gears now, and we'll jump right into it. It's time for the brand new Shelby's Wheel and Tire Top 10. That's Shelby's Wheel and Tire at 1709 Breckenridge Street. Give them a call at 270-684-0663.
It's the final countdown.
Start the countdown off from Shelby's Wheel and Tire with the top 10, setting at number 10. They wrapped their season up this week, so they might be there for a while. The South, Spencer Rebels.
I'm happy to see that they stayed in. That warms my heart, man.
No doubt. I think, yeah.
Got 2 wins on the board.
Yeah.
Nobody else can claim that.
It's hard to dispute it. Yeah, they've actually been on the right side of a couple Friday nights, and we already talked about it. Onward and upward.
I wish the EA Sports thing was still working, because I would create South Spencer and have them play our number 9 team.
Yeah, that'd be all right. That's a good way to go out.
The Homers Bowl, which would be Muhlenberg taking on South Spencer, because Muhlenberg's checking in at number 9 once again. This top 10 is pretty solidified by this point.
I think so. Tell me that wouldn't be fun to watch the computer play those 2 teams out.
I want to watch it in person.
I know it.
Maybe just match up the 9, 10, 7, 8. 5 and 6, just go right through them.
Come on, EA, fix your servers, man.
I thought you were going to say you wish somebody would take us up on the bet that John Edge wasn't going to win more than 2 games next year.
Please do that. I mean, come on.
We're looking for some easy money here. I mean, we need it.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, Muhlenberg County is not going to be bad next year either.
No.
Look,
Yeah.
you got Bronson Healy back. I think Winky's he's back, right? Yeah, Winky.
so.
Dude, I'm telling you
Winky's
right now.
a sophomore.
Oh my goodness. And listen, guys, Muhlenberg County going to be a problem next year too.
Absolutely.
Another team's going to be a problem here coming up, and a pretty big problem as we seen on Friday. A great, fundamentally sound football team, Hancock County, checking in at 8.
Yeah, young and a lot of spots and a lot of room to grow. And what I saw, what I came away with is just the way the mentality, the teams embody the way they're coached. And I think so that tells me that Hancock County, and we knew that already because they've gotten better every year under Coach Eubanks. Obviously, they'll take a slight step back this year, which, I mean, to graduate what they did.
What's impressive is they didn't fall off the hill after last year. It was a very senior-laden team last year that a lot of the percentage of snaps was played by a team that graduated last year.
That's right, yeah. I think it's universal, though. Everybody in this area is rooting for the Hancock County Middle School Hornets.
Yeah.
I know, even the OMS kids are very well aware that Hancock County is playing in that tournament, and they're all, rooting for Hancock County. They want Hancock County to go win that tournament.
And, hey, let me say this, too. I've got the Miller Time shirt on. Let me say you this. Hanging in my closet that I still wear to this day is my Hornet Pride shirt.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose that.
Seen it. He's not lying.
I was wearing one the other day when Clark came over to pick up the light. He said, "Hey, look, you got a Hornet Pride shirt on." Damn right I do.
I'm a front runner, man.
You guys got Hornet. I'm nobody. I don't get the Hornet Pride. Y'all get the Hornet Pride,
hey,
man.
I spread it out. I love it.
Yeah,
I do. I eat it. This show has changed me. I used to be an Apollo guy, and I hated everybody else. And I just getting in these communities like Breck, man, seeing them win on Friday night, it made my whole night. Getting to know these the work that goes in that these coaches and these kids are putting into building these. Well, why are you talking about Breck? They only won 4 games. They didn't win any last year. That's awesome, man. Like, these kids are putting in so much work. These coaches tirelessly work, and it's you coach at the youth level. I mean, you know how much work goes into it.
A lot.
And just to see that start paying off and getting some of these wins, it makes me happy. I feel the love, and it really makes my Friday nights fun.
Any teams that we don't wear shirts of or don't have displayed helmets of here on the desk is because we don't have them.
Yeah, get them to
It's
us.
not because we don't like those teams. We just don't have them. Contact us at Homer's Radio and hook us up with them. They'll be on the desk or they'll be on our shoulders. We'll be wearing them. We'll support anybody here in the 3rd region.
That's the truth.
Or South Spencer.
I wore an Owensboro Catholic shirt once and got egged.
Represent it.
He did wear an Owensboro Catholic shirt and get egged once. It's on YouTube. Go look it up.
I did. I think I wore almost every school shirt. Owensboro for softball. I mean, you name it, man. I've wore almost every school.
That still blows my mind.
It's kind of wild, yeah.
Move it up to the 7th spot. A team that got a big win this past Friday. The Apollo Eagles.
Sentimental win for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I know it's just Marshall County. Man, it's cool to go out with the. I tell you right now, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, every win was valuable for Apollo. So the fact that it's just Marshall County, it tells me that the programs came a long way. And 5 wins, it's right there at 500. They have a chance to be over 500 this week. I know it's been a little bit of a disappointment at times, but at the end of the day, they could still get things right.
Here's the coolest thing about Apollo right now. No matter what, in the annals of time and history and space and all of human beingness, here's the deal. At the end of the day, Apollo won their final game at Eagle Stadium, and that will never change. They sent that stadium off with the win.
That's the way it needs to be on the 50th anniversary.
That's right.
50 points on the board.
Move it up to the 6th spot now. A team with their highest ever ranking on the countdown. Breck County Fighting Tigers.
Have a chance to get to 500 this week. I'm telling you, that game over there, if it wasn't for my getting off so late, it's been very difficult for me to make it to Harnett, get set up, get my kids some supper, all that stuff that goes into living everyday life. Literally, I've checked into this and broke down the time. It'd be very difficult. And so we're not going to make it, but we'll be there in spirit because that's going to be a good game. Breck and Hancock, and we'll talk about it here in a minute.
And Hancock will have it broadcast, so if people do want to see that, they can watch it on YouTube while you're listening to us.
And I'll tell you something right now. It will be on my phone, on the iPhone, right here while I'm at the game.
That's right.
At Reed Stadium.
As it should be.
Thanks to the Hancock County. And those dudes up there sharing the press box with McLean County Sportsnet and the Hancock County Sportsnet. Great all-around vibe in the press box. And a lot of great dudes up there in the press box.
Move it up to the top 5 with the Davis County Thundercats.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right, Davis County's trying to. I think this team can still be sneaky and be playing for a regional championship.
I was talking about it with Clark on Friday night. I said, you know what? If things play out a certain way, there's a very, very good chance that Davis County could have a gripe at the @1 spot. If a few things that very well could play out,
yeah,
they could have a gripe for it because you think about
the end of the year.
If they win this, by the end of
next week.
Yeah, next week.
That's what I mean. Yeah. You're end of the regular season. Sorry.
Because they would be if they beat Apollo, they would be city county champions. If Catholic gets beat by South Warren, Davis County beats Catholic. So if there's one team that has the gripe to be able to jump above Catholic, I think it's Davis County more than Owensboro.
Yeah,
you can make that. You can make that argument. I feel like Davis County's like the Pink Panther right now. They're
on the prowl.
They're on the prowl, but they're kind of creeping around. They're like below the shot, like below the line of vision there, and they're kind of just,
What would happen if, say, 3 weeks into the playoffs, Owensboro, Catholic, and Davis County are all playing for regional championship?
My mind just goes,
wouldn't it? I mean, it could happen.
I don't know what would happen.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It could happen. Of course, they'd be playing Louisville Trinity, but that's still
would be cool.
Maybe Trinity. They're kind of down this year. We'll see.
Move it up now to a team that's definitely not down this year. Clinched the first home playoff game in a decade. The McLean County Cougars.
What an environment there at Paulson. It's pouring down rain. It's wind's blowing. It's cold. And that place was packed. And you'd never even known it was raining if it wasn't for all the umbrellas. So these guys cowbell was out. They're making tons of noise. And
when they ran through the tunnel, it was awesome with the team. They had the McLean dance team. They all had the like purge masks on and had like machete, not real ones, but plastic machetes in their hand. Came running out to lead the team. Then the team came out. They had a giant fly swatter made for a hornet. It was a giant fly swatter.
It was a hornet with the line through it. It was cool. Fly swatter. And a blackout at McLean. They do things right. And they had the DJ up there who's right on point with pretty much our soundboard. I mean, it's
they had Chad Gesser was DJing.
Yeah,
the DJ Professor G, man.
There was times we were listening to the replay in there, and there was times that normally we play the Jeopardy theme, and I was like, I'm not playing that, and Steve thought we were playing it. That was from the Homer's broadcast. Like, no, they were just on it.
My mind, it takes me a little bit, and so I think while I was hearing the Jeopardy theme through the PA, I thought it was coming through my headset. I'm just thinking we're going.
You're looking at Ward like, okay, and then Ward's like, it's not me.
It's not me. I'm not playing that.
Move it up to another team that's on our tear right now, sitting at number 3. Their highest ever ranking is once again, they'll continue at number 3, the Grayson County Cougars.
Great season, man. Led by Q McHenry and just a nice host of people. And
a pretty good defense. I know McHenry gets a lot of love on this program, but that defense has done a lot of things this year. Look, they only allowed, I believe it was 3 points this week. They blanked a great Hancock County team that we just saw. That Hancock County win that Grayson has earlier in the season where they dominated them is really impressive to me now.
No doubt.
I feel like Hancock County's gotten a little better since then. I don't because Todd County beat it, but Todd County kind of put it on Hancock County too a little bit, and I don't think that would happen now.
No, that's a
It did happen though.
That's true.
That's a little bit of a surprise, yeah. And I think Grayson is right there, ready to win.
They've won the games they're supposed to win, and that's what you got to salute with Grayson County.
A road playoff.
They won games that we didn't think they were going to win going into the season, though. Like going in, even whenever we predicted, I think we predicted Hancock to beat them.
Yeah,
they've done that a couple times, so I think they're playing above their head. And like I said, I think they're going to get the win in their home playoff game. Move it up to the number 2 team now. Talking about the countdown has been pretty stable. Owensboro been sitting at the 2 spot for a minute now.
Kind of concreted in there.
It's concreted in. I mean, we did the big debate last week, but I think it's right. Number 2 it's right.
And they righted the ship, and they're back. It's back to being kind of back to normal.
We got a lot of love on that debate, by the way.
Yeah.
People marked out for that. They liked it, man. They liked it.
It was. I mean, it's always fun to bring a different perspective to the table.
Yeah.
Even if it's wrong. I'm just kidding.
Hey, no. I actually said that I think Catholic should be number 1.
Yeah.
He was playing the devil's advocate.
Yeah, pun intended.
Move it up to the number 1 team in all the land. Absolutely no surprise to anyone. The Owensboro Catholic Aces.
Consistent. After those first 2 games.
They were off last week, so they had their feet up, and now it's time to get back to business.
It's time to get back. And it'd be interesting to see how they come, ready to play off a bye week. Sometimes bye weeks are great, and sometimes they're not.
Especially this late in the year, you kind of give your body a little bit of a rest and get ready for a playoff run that's coming. Obviously,
it's coming.
You have to get. Hopefully, you want to get through the South Warren game clean. That's first and I think that's more important than a win. I'm going to tell you right now. I think I would rather lose the game and not have anybody injured than go out there and lose somebody. You don't want that to happen.
Catholic can't afford injuries.
No. You want to keep this you got to keep this ship a rock.
You got to have everybody versus Mayfield.
Absolutely, and I know it's looking way far ahead, but what else?
They're going to get to Mayfield.
What else
let's not listen. We won't lie to you here on HRN. They're going to get to Mayfield.
It'd be a monument. It'd take a monumental upset. One of the bigger ones we've seen on the show in high school in football.
They win this week. There won't be nobody arguing who's number 1.
Oh my God! State. I mean, you're talking about top 10 overall in the state if they won this game.
This would move Catholic into some conversations in 2A.
I'm talking like overall rankings.
Overall, right? Like Cal, DeSales, and all that. Some heads would start to turn.
They can do it.
With the win here, no doubt. They're very competitive. We'll talk about it in a minute. They were very competitive last year. We'll take a really quick break and come back and break them all down for you. The final week of the regular season predictions when we come back right here on the Homers Radio Network.
It's the B.F. Evans Ford end of summer sell down. Right now, buy a new EcoSport SUV for only $17,995, a new Fusion for $18,995, or Escape for only $19,995. Get a hot deal on a cool new F-150 truck and save as much as $10,000 off MSRP. Buy your next vehicle at the B.F. Evans Ford end of summer sell down or pay too much. B.F. Evans Ford in Livermore. Shop online anytime at bfevansford.com.
Welcome back to the B.F. Evans studio. That's B.F. Evans, Highway 431 in Livermore. Give them a call at 270-684-6288. And B.F. Evans sponsoring studio. They may be sponsoring a trip to my Kentucky-Georgia game.
There you go. That's right.
So Big Tony over there.
Big Tony Fiorella.
Need vehicle. Give Tony Fiorella a call over there. He'll hook you up. B.F. Evans, sponsor of the Homer studio here. Let's go ahead and jump into the final week of the regular season. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Courtesy of Roads and Roads. If you're injured in a Kentucky car accident, denied disability benefits, receive a free case evaluation from a Roads and Roads attorney today at 888-709-9329 or simply visit roadsandroads.com. And so we got a handful of games this week. We're going to start it off down in Webster County. Webster County 1-9 on the season, playing host to the McLean County Cougars 6-3. Webster's only win came to Fulton, who I believe are winless on the season. McLean won 48-0 last year. Expect much of the same this year. I think it may be worse. Cougars can win this by as much as they want. Running clock in the first half.
Running clock.
McLean by 50.
Go out on top, 7-3 record. What they're looking at with the victory as they roll
and a home playoff
into
game.
the playoffs next week. Let's go ahead and get to Henderson County. I want to tell you mix these in. As Henderson County Colonels 6-3 on the year, playing host to the Owensboro Red Devils 7-2 on the year. Owensboro last year 39-20 at home at Rash, finished on a good note.
Score's 10-0 right now. Just got word in my head.
It's true. Henderson's leading 10-0 as we speak right now.
We stood right outside Parts Unknown studio last week and had a good, 45-minute conversation about our wild trips to Henderson County.
Right.
After Davis County kind of had a rough time over there last week. But, man, what do you think? This should be a pretty good matchup on paper. Be interesting to see if the Henderson defense can hold up versus explosive Owensboro offense.
Well, as Ward noted, we're down 10-0 before we step off the bus, so you got to take that into consideration. I think at the end of the day, Owensboro's better than Henderson. I don't have any doubt that Owensboro's better on both sides of the ball than Henderson County. You got to factor in senior night. You got to factor in Skip Patterson's last game at Colonel Stadium. I think at the end of the day, if OHS just plays a B game, right, they can make a few mistakes, they can make a few penalties, a few turnovers. I think they'll be fine. I think Owensboro wins this game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Same.
And I think at the end of the day, I don't think Henderson can slow down Owensboro's offense enough, and Owensboro's defense. I'm not talking about them nearly enough. They have been completely dominating over the past month of the season. I think that's going to continue over in Henderson this week. I think Owensboro goes to 8-2 on the season.
It is a Henderson team that beat Gibson Southern.
It is. No, this Henderson team has a ton of potential, no doubt about it. This could be a very good game.
Owensboro just has more.
Owensboro just has weapons everywhere.
That's it right there.
No doubt about it. So move it down to Meade County, 2-7 on the season, taking on 0-9 Warren Central. Meade 44-6 last year got the win. Man, Warren Central, it's a heartbreaking deal when you talk about down there what's going on at Warren Central. It's been cherry picked.
Well, I mean, South Warren is Warren Central now.
That's it.
And it's a shame. It's just a shame that it turned out that way, but it is what it is. Meade County by as much as they want.
Meade by a lot.
Yeah, Meade. I think we're all in agreement. The Waves go out 3-7 to close out the season as we'll move it down to Edmondson County, home of the Sharpshooters, trying to get to 500 on the season. 4-5 on the year, taking on Barron County. 2-7. I said last week, Barron County's called that for a reason. Not a whole lot going on down there. I'm taking the Sharpshooters to finish the season at 500.
Yeah, give me the Sharpshooters. Why not, man? I'm going to Edmonton.
Make it 3.
And we'll move it 2 teams in our area here as the Grayson County Cougars sitting at number 3 in the Shelbyville entire top 10. 6-3 on the season, playing host to the Muhlenberg County Mustangs, 3-6 on the year. Muhlenberg did get the win 26-7 last year. Completely different Grayson County team this year. They saw Q last year in Ohio County uniform. Now they'll see him.
That was BQ before Q got there.
There it
is. No doubt about it. I'm taking Grayson County at home to close out 7-3 and prepare themselves for a road trip to Graves County.
I'm taking Grayson County as well, but it's closer than the experts think. Give me Grayson County by 7.
I think Grayson gets the win by a couple touchdowns.
The expert. I'm not the expert, though, right? Because I'm definitely not an expert.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I was just thinking Lee Corso in my mind. I don't know.
We'll go down to Ohio County. This is a big one here, right?
Wow.
I'm telling you.
Look at this. Set the stage.
Somebody is going to end on a good note, and somebody's going to have sour grapes on Friday night. There's no doubt about it. Somebody's going to be eating steak, and the other one's going to be eating beans. It's the Ohio County Eagles, 0-9, taking on the winless Butler County Bears at Ohio County High School. These two teams do not like each other. They've had a little bit of a past, and Ohio County got the win 39-0 last year. Not the same team, obviously. Butler County's on the come up. Ohio County's gotten a little better. They played Muhlenberg close. I'm going to roll with the Marcus Ganaway and company. I like their mentality, even though they've been tossed around a little bit this year. I think the seniors, Ben Wood and those guys, Caden Brown, the bulldozer, a little bit more experience than the younger Butler County. So that's going to keep me with the Eagles in this one at home on Friday night to get their lone win of the season.
Yeah, I'm going to go down to this. Ohio County is a 6A team, correct?
That's right.
Butler County is a 2A team. That's going to be the difference in the game. A little bit bigger, stronger Ohio County.
Difference in the game is the bulldozer. I don't think anybody on Butler can stop him. There's a lot of young guys on Butler. Bulldozer's a full-grown man.
He is, yeah. He's a college-ready player. Like, he could play at Campbellsville, like, right now.
Yeah, he's going to go out on a good note at his final home game there at Ohio County.
I think the home field advantage is big in this one, too.
True. Yeah, absolutely. You got a little more sentimental value there for those seniors. Let's go move it back over to Steele Stadium. Big one here in the city of Owensboro as the Aces, number 1. Shelbyville Entire, 7-2. Haven't lost in, feels like, 6 6 months, it feels like.
Right.
It's been a long time. Catholic's gotten right and won, 7 straight games. And they're taking on South Warren, who's won 9 straight, undefeated. Coming off a huge 38-12 win over Bowling Green last week, dominated the Purples. And a very competitive game last year, though. A 21-16 game. Aces were right there in it last year, and they may be playing better football right now than they were this time last year.
And this is 2 consecutive seasons that South Warren will be traveling to Steel Stadium. They had a little contract that worked out there where they got to do that 2 years in a row. Great deal for Owensboro Catholic. And I don't know why, because if you look at the rosters, this game should, I'm going to be honest with you, shouldn't be close. South Warren should win this game possibly by a running clock if you just look at the rosters.
That's how.
But I don't call me nuts. I think this is going to be a very close game. I'm still picking South Warren, but I think you could see something along the lines of like 28-21 South Warren.
And I think that would be a good way for Catholic to enter the playoffs. I'll agree with you. I think that's exactly what I was looking at the score, 28-21, somewhere in that ballpark. South Warren defense is very good. It's a great test for Hartz and Vaughn and those guys, Mills and those guys going up against the power attack of South Warren.
Give me the Aces.
Oh,
at home.
Hey now.
If they win that game, there will be some talk around the state.
There should be.
And I tell you right now,
South Warren might overlook them just a tad bit, looking on the playoffs and coming off of blowing out Bowling Green. You're feeling good about yourself, and if you go in there and into Steel Stadium and think that you're just going to win because you show up and you're a better football team, Cavill's got the offense that can put 14 points on you real quick, and then they got the defense to make it last.
It's got a trap game written on it for South Warren a little bit. That's last game of the year. You're getting ready to go into the playoffs.
I think they have their eyes on other prizes.
Yeah, this would be a big one for Owensboro Catholic. It's going to be. I think it's going to be close over there at Steel Stadium on Friday night.
I've seen Catholic beat 2 teams I didn't think they'd beat. I'm not picking against them until I see somebody actually beat them, and I think they will.
It proves me otherwise. I'll tell you one team that would just have that red exclamation mark go off above their heads if Catholic wins. Mayfield.
It's Mayfield Cardinals.
The whole entire, Mayfield always listens to the program the week going into that playoff game. They will definitely be taking some interest in the Aces if they can pull off this victory versus South Warren. We'll move it over to beautiful, scenic Harnett as the Breckenridge County Tigers 4-5.
Halloween in Harnett.
Getting ready. And to try to get the 500 on the year, but they first got to go against the Hornets, who also want to get there to the 500 mark. 4-5 on the year. Hancock won a tough affair last year, 28-14. Remember 2 years ago, that crazy kickoff game in 2016 over in Harnett where Breckenridge won 32-27? That just shows you this is a rivalry game. And no matter what the teams, how they stack up, it's always close. Breck's better this year. Hancock's right there. Played very well this past week, coming up just a little short. This is going to be a good one. I'm gonna take the Fighting Tigers in Harnett to ride that momentum. Dyer, I think he's going to get it done, man. I think he's going to have a huge game Friday night. Slows down Darian Clay just enough to get the win.
Yeah, I think this is Breck's Super Bowl. They want to go out. They want to end the season at 500. They've gotten the 4 wins from 0 last year. I think they want to get to 500. This is their Super Bowl. They're aiming everything at this. I think last week was Hancock's Super Bowl. They might have a little bit of coming off of a little bit of a downturn there. So give me Breck.
Call me crazy. I think I think Breckenridge County's going to win this game by 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
I think they're a very physical team.
Yeah.
I really do. And it's a little bit bigger school. I mean, they're a 3A school, or they're 4A, or they're 3A.
4A.
Yeah, they're 4A school. Yeah, so you're talking about a little bit bigger in size.
Hancock was in a war last week, too, in McLean County. There's a lot of hitting going on out there. A lot of big hits going on. A lot of guys limping off the field, too, so you never know who's going to be playing still for Hancock County or playing at 100%.
And Breckenridge County does have a couple of victories over Louisville schools. And I know they're not top-tier Louisville schools by any stretch of the imagination, but anytime you do that, it's a big deal.
And they hung with Grayson. Remember that? They hung better with Grayson than Hancock did.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Breckenridge County, like you said, the speed's normally giving them trouble in those types of games. The physicality versus the speed has won them games this year. I think that will be enough to slow down Darian Clay and Dyer, just one-ups them a little bit, and we're all in agreement. The Tigers hold serve at home. It'd be a huge victory for that program.
It's usually not good for a school when all 3 of us pick them.
I know. Sorry about that, guys.
Kiss of death.
As we'll move it now to the game of the week, the Don Moore Auto Team, brought to you by the Don Moore Auto Team. To shop over 13 brands and 1,000 vehicles, visit moredeals.com to see the More Advantage. Best value, transparent and upfront. It's moredeals.com. It's a city-county clash. Apollo 5-4 taking on the Davis County Panthers 5-4 at Reed Stadium. Winner gets a winning season. Davis County has a little bit more on the line. If they win, they'll retain that trophy, city-county trophy. I believe if Apollo wins, it goes to Owensboro Catholic. Is that?
Yep. That's it. You just laid it out there. If Apollo wins, Catholic's champs, and if Davis County wins, we've got a three-way tie. This is a very difficult game to pick because it's going to be what style wins out.
Yeah,
for Apollo to win this game, Steve, they are going to have to dictate and control the tempo of this game. They're going to have to run the ball.
It's the old UFC matchup, wrestler versus the boxer.
Right.
Who's going to win the matchup, the striker or the takedown artist? Can they prevent? Can Apollo prevent the big plays? Number one, they will not be able to allow Joey Cameron to go out and throw for 5 touchdowns, score quick. Apollo has to control the tempo.
Right. I don't know if anybody stopped Cameron from doing that.
No. Well, I mean, slow him down.
Just slow him down.
You can't let him get those 1- and 2-play touchdown drives where it's just you hit. And I haven't seen Apollo really give up a ton of that, though, this season, even against Catholic. Catholic didn't do it. Owensboro didn't do it. I mean,
right,
most of the time they have sustained drives. And I think if they can force Davis County to have to sustain drives, it lets Apollo play their type of game as long as they can get it done on the ground.
Nobody else had the number 1 wide receiver in the state, though.
Yeah, but Owensboro's putting up about 55 points a week, though. I mean,
I think
they also beat Davis County 42-7. So
14.
42-14.
That's still held them in check. But this game, again, you're looking at, like you said, it's just such a contrast in styles. Davis County is going to want to get out in front. Apollo, if they are to win and compete in this game, cannot let Davis County jump out 14-21-0. If that's the case, it's going to be a long night for the Eagles.
It will.
Davis County wants to come out like Mike Tyson back in the day, punch them in the mouth early, get them shook, get them out of their game plan, and then basically bury them in a barrage of touchdowns. Apollo wants it to be ugly, physical, and smash mouth.
I also haven't seen Davis County stop anyone on the ground this year.
That's a valid point, too.
No one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them getting demoralized in the run game, and I know that's what Apollo is going to bring. So you know what each team's going to do. Davis County is going to try to hit the big play. They don't have Landon Newman, so you know they're going to throw the football around.
That hurts Davis County.
And you know Apollo is going to line up and try to run it right at you. So the question is, who's going to stop who first? And it really just comes down to that. I'm taking Apollo to win the game. I think their offensive line gets it done. And I haven't seen Davis County stop the run. If you can't stop the run, it's going to be tough. I mean, unless Davis County can force some turnovers and jump out, like you said, I think Apollo can dictate the tempo of the game.
I've seen Davis County stop the run against a pretty good running back in week 1 in Vaughn Williams. So I think this is going to be a big game where you're going to see the top version of Davis County. They almost kind of sleptwalked through the first half of the season and lost the season. They got it back now to where they can repeat last season with the success if they continue winning. I don't think they're going to overlook anything like they were doing earlier in the season.
They gave up like 300 yards on the ground to Henderson last week, though.
I think Davis County gets the win.
I think that's a good point what Ward just said. They were able to stop. The one factor, the one variable in that is that they had Landon Newman on defense, and we saw Landon tackle Vaughn out in space. I got a hot take. I'll combine both of you guys' picks. I think Davis County's not going to be able to stop the run all night. I think Mariano's going to go for $150, 200, maybe more on this Davis County defense. I do think at the end of the day, Davis County wins this game in a shootout. Give me Davis County like 42-35.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a shootout. I really do. In a shootout with contrast of styles.
Davis County's won the last 5 matchups in this meeting, so they have dominated. They have dominated this rivalry as of late.
I think the Davis County offense might be the best run stopper that they have against Apollo. If they go out there and get 14, 21 points, you no longer have to worry about the run game.
You're exactly right. That will be it right there. If they can make Apollo do what they don't want to do, that will be the difference in the ball game. So Davis County's a little bit more wide open offensively. They can run it or they could throw it. I feel like Apollo is going to have to be able to run the football to win the game.
I think if Davis County had Landon Newman, they would win comfortably. I think that's how much of a difference he makes on both sides of the ball.
Big time loss.
Especially defensively.
Defensively, it's a big loss. I'm taking the Eagles. I'm the only one to roll out the final game.
Hey, it's all right. Go down swinging,
Eagles.
man.
Hey, Davis County's got to prove to me they can stop the run.
That's all right.
I know Coach Brandon's worried about it because he's talked about it. He's already mentioned it.
Yeah, that's valid, yeah.
I've seen him get ran over so far. So they have to stop that run game.
Remind you to follow at Homers Radio on Twitter and Instagram. Find us on Facebook, Stephen Brandon Clark. Also, homersradio.com and our YouTube channel, Homers Radio Gorilla Style.